Okay. Uh, Mayor DeVries.
I can't hear you though.
Oh boy. Hello, hello. Oh boy. This is a
There
struggle.
we are, huh? Uh, Yep, both my red lines are off. Yep. Okay. Hi.
Okay. Hello. Yeah. Yeah, I always fight with technology. It's a mess.
Yes, I know. And you try what you tried before and it works and sometimes it doesn't. But anyway, here we are.
All right. Well, anyway, I am Aries Chapman, a student and interviewer and all what I said in the emails, but it's a pleasure to meet you, Mayor.
It's nice to meet you too. And thank you for reaching out. I'm
No
glad to
problem.
see young people that are interested in what's going on. So
I've reached out to a lot of people. You responded. No one else has responded to me.
oh, is that right? That's too bad. Yeah.
But here we are.
Okay.
So, okay. So, I have some questions I have listed.
Okay.
So, let's start with this. So, what originally got you into politics?
Okay. My first husband and I and two small children had moved to Palmer in May of 69 from Ketchikan prior to that from Montana. And in 1971, my husband and I was pretty much a stay-at-home mom. I worked part-time. He worked for the state of Alaska. And so um, in April of 1971, he went his way and I went mine. And I ended up with the house as well as custody of the two children. And at that time, they were 10 and 7. And I debated about whether I should go back to Montana. I'm an only child, so I didn't have aunts and uncles. My mom had passed away. My dad had remarried. And so I was, didn't maybe even necessarily have a place to go or what to do, but I knew I had to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have, at that time, did not have my degree. I had college, about 2.5 years of college in accounting.
Hmm.
And so at the City Hall in Palmer, they decided to combine the clerk with the city manager and then hire a treasurer. And so it was really out of need. I had two kids, they ate, I ate, we had to have
Mhm.
clothes on our back. And so it really ended up out of being out of, as I look back on it, need. It wasn't that I thought, oh, someday I'll be mayor
Mhm.
people will know me on the street or, none of that kind of stuff. I was concerned about having a steady paycheck. And
Mhm.
we, of course, lived in Palmer inside the city limits.
Mhm.
And so the kids went to school and they could walk. And so it just seemed to fit
Mhm.
where I was in the world at that time.
All right.
And so I did that. I enjoyed it very much. Um, and then and I took some classes. My father had a fifth grade education, came from we didn't know or called it dysfunctional family at that time, but his family had split up and he had been pretty much on his own. And my mother had an eighth grade education because at that time it was, well, you're just going to get married and have kids, so you don't need to go to high school, let alone college. I mean, nobody even
Mhm.
thought about that. So they
Mhm.
had put a real desire in me to have a college degree. And and of course in accounting, that's something is a good idea.
Mhm.
I mean, if you wanted to
Yeah.
be a plumber, no, but
Mhm.
that's what I want to do. So
Yeah.
So then in order to finish, at that time it was 2-lane highway into Anchorage, of course, where the university was. I went to
Hmm.
the local community college as long as I could. And then I had to take classes in Anchorage. And
Hmm.
so, and in City Hall, I had to work pretty much 8 to 5.
Hmm.
So I decided that I would become a real estate agent, which I did, and I put my license, let's see, I think probably about 6 years ago, put my license in active. And so I became a real estate agent because I had more control over my schedule then. So if it was
Hmm.
a class at Monday morning at 10 o'clock, I just wouldn't take any, you're understanding
Yeah.
what I'm saying. And so, but then what happened, because at that time, Palmer was pretty small. I think the whole borough was probably 10,000 people, and Palmer
Hmm.
was, like, I don't know, 1,000 or 200, 2,000 people, something. We were pretty small.
Hmm.
And so a couple of years, and my kids were getting older. My son was ready to take and graduate high school, was going to go away to college, and my daughter was going to be a sophomore.
Hmm.
And but what I found out in the real estate, I enjoyed that because I very much enjoy people,
Hmm.
and so I went. I got to thinking, but the thing I missed the most was knowing what was going on. I mean, if
Hmm.
somebody was gonna, build a house, or, there was gonna be a new road put in, or, any of that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. Real estate, I didn't necessarily know those things. So when my son was then a senior in high school, I ran for the city council and was elected. And then after that, I went on, became a representative on the borough assembly. Then I was
Hmm.
elected mayor back in the day. That was, let's see, I was elected to the Senate in 84. So that must have been 81. So my son had been in college a couple of years, and my daughter was a senior. So,
Hmm.
well, I can, do some more stuff politically. And so that's
Yeah.
part of how I got here.
All right. So this would make this what, your second term as mayor?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was mayor, and I think I was elected in 82 as mayor, as the first woman borough mayor.
Oh.
And when I ran for the city council for the city of Palmer, I was the first uh, a woman on the city council. And but then I was mayor, and at that time we went through what they call redistricting.
Hmm.
It's after the census, then they look at, to be sure, all of that.
Yep.
And so I don't want to insult you by, either explaining too much or going too fast. So just give me, grin or shake your head and frown at me or something so that I'll know what.
Uh, it's fine. I have time for once.
Oh, good. And so what they did was they redid the lines. And at that time, we had one senator, Senator Jay Cotula, and they decided that we, along with Seward, Hope, Whittier, Cordova, Valdez, and South Anchorage, we could have another senator. So they put us into what they call the donut district.
Hmm.
And so I was elected senator then in 1984. And
Oh.
so by that time, both my kids were still in college. And so
Hmm.
I didn't have, and then during that time, I had been a single parent for 13 years. And then my present husband, Noel, came to build a cabin for his aunt and uncle up on Lazy Mountain. And
Hmm.
so we met, and then we got married in 84 too. So that was a big and he had a son, even though he's older, even that, no, my husband's a couple of years older than I am.
Mhm.
He had his children later in his life. So he had a 6-year-old son and that came with him. His daughter
Mhm.
stayed in Montana with his first wife. And
Mhm.
we ended up going to Juneau. We ended up
Mhm.
being married, and I ended up being a step parent. And of course, then we had a blended family, um,
Mhm.
which although my kids were older, we were still really close, and
Yeah.
so they were in and out of the house and stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Right.
yeah.
No. So, let's talk about this. So, you said you were a state senator for a minute.
Uh-huh.
Did you have any notable accomplishments during your time in the state senate? Although it's been a minute.
Yeah, not too much. We had at that time had lots of money. Oil was a high price, so anything that anybody wanted, we gave it to them. Um, and so I was elected. I took office in January of '85. It was just a 2-year term. So in January of '87, then I was done, and I didn't rerun for the Senate. I ran for lieutenant governor, and out of 5 candidates, I came in third. So then I was pretty much done with politics, wasn't involved in anything. But yeah, no, I don't think I had there wasn't any, I was in the majority.
Hmm.
So I was the 11th Republican to be elected. So we did bring in a couple of Democrats into in order, to have enough people to really be a majority. But
Hmm.
yeah, I can't say there was anything during, I did, and was my personal opinion. I was chairman of community and regional developments, that
Hmm.
legislation, and they tried at that time to get gambling. There was a senator from Fairbanks that was really into gambling, and she wanted to
Hmm.
have gambling in the state.
Hmm.
And I uh, I came against that pretty strong, and because they wanted the gambling to be done by the local municipalities,
Hmm.
I, as chairman of Community and Regional Affairs, had the ability to stop that legislation.
Hmm.
So I don't think that um, but I don't have any one piece of legislation. The other thing I did during that, two other things I did during that time that I think are noteworthy. One was up until this time, um, the people that wanted to get together for prayer and Bible study, uh,
Hmm.
they didn't meet in the Capitol. They
Hmm.
met at a neighboring Catholic church, and so I said, we have right to do it. So we started a little prayer group out of lunch time, and by
Hmm.
all, of course, everybody that worked in the building as well as people that lived in the community. So we did that, and of course, that is still going on. They still
Oh.
do it. I think we did it at noontime. They
Hmm.
do it on Thursday mornings. And I think George Rauscher, I think they take turns in having different people, but I think George Rauscher is the head of it. He was last year. And
Hmm.
a couple of years ago, when we went down to the legislature to do some um, lobbying and stuff for the borough, they met on a Thursday morning, and we met
Hmm.
with them. Yeah, and there was Democrats and Republicans. I mean, that were meeting together, and they didn't. They try to keep it on the Bible and Jesus and prayer, not on anybody's issues or anybody's
Hmm.
bills or anything like that. Uh,
Hmm.
because they were all, I think, in the way I feel about it anyway, I think they were all there trying to do what they felt was best, and
Hmm.
uh, and they also wanted to honor God, and so So as far as I know, that is still going on.
Oh.
And then the one other thing, I'm very strong pro-life. And so
Mm-hmm.
when the budget came on the Senate floor, I stood up and made a motion. It didn't pass. I think we only had 6 out of the 20 that voted for it. But
Mm-hmm.
to take out all of the money that was allocated for abortions. And that
Mm-hmm.
was in 80, 85, and 86. So
Mm-hmm.
those, but yeah, I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't anything. I at that time was real strong on election of the Attorney General. And as you can tell, that hasn't gotten any place. We still have a Attorney General that's appointed by the governor, which gives a
Yeah.
lot of government, in the basis for mine was the fact that we have an attorney general that really works for the administration, but we
Mm-hmm.
don't have an attorney general for the citizens. If,
Yeah.
if the citizens goes with uh, it has the same desires as the governor. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
somebody's in the parking lot, so I'm going to wave to them.
Feel
And
free.
my windows are right here, and I look out, and people walk in the parking lot, and they know they can see me in the window. So sorry
Mm-hmm.
about that.
It's
And
fine.
so so I feel that there's just some
Mm-hmm.
things like that that I'm really strong about.
Mm-hmm.
And but the election of the attorney general, I think, would be something that maybe would benefit. But I don't think there's still some people out there pushing it, but I don't think it has.
Mm.
It's
I mean, let's say this. If you were elected governor, would you
uh,
actually attempt to push for legislation to make the attorney general not one of your enemies?
yeah, yeah.
Because,
Because I see the need for the governor to have an attorney, no
mm-hmm.
question about it. He
Yeah.
needs to have an attorney. Uh, but whether I would have to have, so I don't know that I would introduce legislation,
Mm-hmm.
but if legislation passed the House and the Senate came to my desk, I would sign it.
All right. Like that idea.
Mhm.
So, um, you were reelected mayor in
Yeah.
2021. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which,
well, I was elected borough mayor in 2021.
mm-hmm.
Prior to that, for 5 years, I had been mayor of the city of Palmer. And then this last year in 2024, not last
Mm-hmm.
year, but the year before, then I was reelected mayor of the borough. I had,
Mm-hmm.
and I ran unopposed.
Mm-hmm.
There was, they always have write-ins,
Mm-hmm.
people can always write in,
Yeah.
their dog or themselves or somebody,
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
so there was I think a little over 1,000 write-ins, but I won.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
so now so I'm in my second term. We do have term limits.
Mm-hmm.
So my term is for 4 years. And so
Mm-hmm.
at the end of 4 years, and by
Mm-hmm.
I am elected governor, then there will be 2 years left on my term. So the way the code is for the borough is the fact that the deputy mayor um, would take over for probably a
Mm-hmm.
month or two, and they would have an election then
Yeah.
my replacement.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
what what made you decide, after nigh on 40 years of political retirement, to throw yourself back into the
Yeah.
mess that this all is?
Well, as I don't know if I said it or not, I have a very strong belief in God. And
Mm-hmm.
I believe that God has a plan and purpose for each one of our lives. It doesn't make any difference whether you're a janitor or whether you're a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
He designed you. It says, as you know in the scriptures, he knit us together. And when he knit us together, I feel that he put talents, and you have a talent here of doing what you're doing. you know.
Thank you.
And so, normally you have to have that desire too, I think. I don't think that, I don't believe a person has a desire to be a plumber when the Lord,
Mhm.
really put the gifts and the talents in for him to be a teacher.
Mhm.
I think he or she would just be really miserable during
Mhm.
that time. And um, so anyway, I had, we were talking, I had been elected mayor. I was very happy about doing that.
Mhm.
I enjoyed my job very much. And I felt like the Lord said to me, "Are you willing
Mhm.
to run for governor?"
Hmm.
And so my husband and I prayed about it. We had our kids pray about it because it is a big thing.
Mhm.
And so we decided that we would say yes. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm
Yeah.
running for governor. That's what
All
I'm doing.
right.
And the
So,
result is up to him and,
mm,
the people. So that's that's
yeah.
it.
Well, I don't mean to sound offensive, but
No, no problem. Ask me anything.
um, do you not think you might be a little older than normal for this job? You're the same age as my great grandmother would be had she not died.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the one thing I remind me, so a couple of things. So I guess no, I don't think I'm necessarily too old, because today we have a assembly meeting after we're done with this, and so I'll put in probably about 14, 16 hours today, and so I am staying pretty active. I don't take any medications. I have my tonsils, I have my adenoids, I have everything in my body that I was born with.
Oh.
And and I don't have any, no, you need to take care of this in order to live or something like that. God has
Hmm.
just given me some grace. The other thing I think is that President Trump and I, and this is about as far as I would go with it, is only 5 years difference in
Hmm.
our ages. And so when I see, what he does and the things that he is capable of doing and stuff, then
Hmm.
I feel that, okay, Lord, I'm capable of being the mayor, and if you
Hmm.
give me the favor to be elected governor, you'll give me the ability to do that.
Hmm. All right, that's
Yeah,
good.
ask me anything. I am not offended. So yeah, anything.
I just don't want to come off as, offensive or anything,
No, no,
obviously.
no, 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 no.
No.
In fact, what we will do, what we're in the process of doing,
Hmm.
we've had a couple little jingles about my age that
Hmm.
we are composing some music to. So you'll see those in the advertisements and stuff when we
Good.
want to create a little jingle, because there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, you
Hmm.
can't do anything about your age. I mean, you can color your hair, or you
Hmm.
can gain 50 pounds or lose 50 pounds,
Hmm.
whatever, there's certain
Hmm.
things that you have. I can't do anything about the
Hmm.
year I was born,
Yeah.
it's there, so you can't take
Hmm.
it. I mean, I could color my hair, or, get a
Hmm.
facelift or something, but, it just,
Hmm.
you can't run away from it. So there's
Yeah.
no sense in trying to pretend that it's not going to be a topic of discussion.
Hmm.
It is going to be a topic of discussion. So
Hmm. No,
yeah.
figured I should ask, because obviously, after having President Biden for 4 years,
Oh yeah,
people
right.
get a
It
bit
was too
concerned.
bad. Too bad we had to have that example.
Yeah, that's.
But then we have President Trump, and he
Hmm.
acts like he's 50 years old. So
Yeah, our
yeah,
president's been the way he is really all of his life. I've looked at old interviews and such. He's always been very
yeah,
capable.
yeah, right, yeah.
But all right. So considering your run for governor, I should probably
Uh-huh.
ask you about the issues that Alaska is facing.
Okay. Well, I think, there's many issues, and a lot of people will talk about those type things. Um, but because of my accounting degree, I think the one issue, besides some social issues, we know those, and I've already talked about pro-life, etc. Um, the big issue that's facing the legislature and the governor's office is going to be finances. We're
Mm-hmm.
seeing, where the budget, they're scrambling now to find the money for the supplemental budget,
Mm-hmm.
and let alone for the regular budget. So the one idea that I have, and I've just written an article for the People paper, and I've talked a little bit on some of our broadcasts about it, is the fact about doing zero base budgeting. I don't know if you know
Mm-hmm.
what that is or not. So that's, when you have a budget, you
Mm-hmm.
have revenue side, and then you have expenditures, and you have in expenditures all line items, salaries and
Mm-hmm.
office supplies and cars and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You have a whole list of that. What zero base budgeting does is, so you have your list of expenditures, and the one I'm going to use is out of state travel. So
Mm-hmm.
you have these expenditures for, and the one area, say, is out of state travel. That's for the people that are employed by the state of Alaska that travel outside of Alaska, for conferences or meetings or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So say this last year, there was $3 million in there. And
Mm-hmm.
so when the governor or myself gets ready to prepare the budget for that line item, and the majority of the departments have them, DEC will have that, police will have it, transportation will have it, all that stuff. So they look and they say, okay, so this last year's budget was $3 million. Um, and we have inflation and things like that. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
we're going to kick it up to $3.3 million. What zero based budgeting says is no, you take that first line item to zero,
Mm-hmm.
and then you add back in the necessary components. So it isn't this budget that's here and then it's here every year and it keeps going like this and this. And
Mm-hmm.
you start out with zero, and then you analyze. So say out of state travel again. So how many times did people within that department go to Seattle? How many
Mm-hmm.
times did they go to Washington, D.C.? Is it really necessary? Can they do Zoom like what we're
Mm-hmm.
doing? Or, Teams, or, there's a variety of options,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And and then you build on that. So you say, well, yeah, we need to make at least one trip to Washington, D.C. So you figure out what the cost of that is, the plane costs, the per diem,
Mm-hmm.
taxis, hotel room, whatever, and you come up with a figure. And that's the way then you build that line item.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of it being 3.3, you may come up with 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now with the budget, when I'm elected in November, Dunleavy will have already prepared his budget because it has to go the first part of December to the
Mm-hmm.
legislature. And that's about the time you take over as governor.
Mm-hmm.
And so we won't be able to do that really drastically, but there will, as I'm selecting my commissioners, whether it's Department of Transportation, whether it's DEC,
Mm-hmm.
all of those commissioners, that I am going to get a commitment from them that they are going to take at least one or two line items out
Mm-hmm.
of their budget, whether it's, and maybe it won't be out of state travel, but maybe it'll be, every year we buy, 15 new police cars. Do we need 15 new police cars? Or is there
Mm-hmm.
10 that you could use from last year? You
Mm-hmm.
know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And have them implement it. So it'll take a year or two, maybe even 2.5 years to be able
Mm-hmm.
to get all the line items in the budget to be zero based. So
Yeah.
that I think is one idea. And the thing that I like about it is that it is, people say, and I feel the legislature should take and um, follow the law regarding the PFD. But that takes the whole legislature also to vote on that.
Mm-hmm.
And with the line item veto, as I present my budget, that will be in there. Now, there could be some of the legislatures that would say, well, we know she put in there 2.5, but we want to increase it. Well, that's
Mm-hmm.
where the governor's veto comes in. When that comes back across his desk, if he
Mm-hmm.
thinks that 2.5 is the good number, he can just take and put that veto that extra amount. So it's an
Mm-hmm.
idea that the place where the governor has almost full control. So
Yeah.
he can't add to it. Like when they decide on the PFD, he can't add to that. He can only take away from that. And
Mm-hmm.
so, in light of where we are financially, I think that is something that we need to have a bigger discussion on.
Huh.
And
Oh.
then one other item that I got involved in a couple years ago. Now, the rest of the candidates, I think now have all jumped on board, but none of them were aware of it. And that is in the state constitution, we are allotted the grand juries. Have you read or heard anything about the grand jury investigation?
Not aggressively.
Okay. And so I jumped into that. The people in Kenai that are doing it, David Haig, reached out to me a couple years ago, and I partook in a meeting with him with
Mm-hmm.
the Attorney General, trying to get so in the state constitution there are two ways to approach the grand jury. There is a district attorney's office that he brings the indictment for somebody that was in a car accident and killed somebody or threw stole somebody some stuff or shot somebody or something like that. So he brings that indictment to the grand jury and they indict and say yes, that needs to be further investigated and that stuff. Well, there is in the state constitution another area for grand juries, and that is if you have an item that you feel strongly about and you feel that the group of people serving as a grand jury should take and investigate that, you could go directly to the grand jury and ask them to do that. You wouldn't have to
Mm-hmm.
commit an offense, in order to go through the district attorney's office.
Yeah.
And um, what the Judicial Council in the state of Alaska did, they said, no, you don't have the right even though it's in the state constitution, you don't have the right to go directly to the grand jury. And
Mm-hmm.
so that is a big thing that needs to be taken care of. And you'll probably hear a lot about it, but that's an
Mm-hmm.
issue that I was involved in, been involved for the last couple of years.
Oh.
And then I think one of the other things that we have done is, what probably all went on with COVID and the mask and
That's
all,
a nightmare.
yeah, shutting down everything and stuff. And when that was going on, a number of the people in the Palmer and Wasilla area said, and we don't quite understand how can they do this and take away so many of our personal rights. And so my husband and I have formed what we call a school of government. And
Hmm.
so that's been going on for 6 years. We've had people in to talk about the Constitution, and we've had candidates come in and talk to us. Um, Last night, we had what they call biblical citizenship. We're going to have
Hmm.
that a couple times. And what that does is takes back to the days of the Mayflower and because, as you know, we're celebrating 250 years now as the country. Yeah. And so what was their idea regarding government and how government should be and how active people that have I call it a moral compass to be the ones that are doing the laws and stuff. And
Hmm.
so there's a couple of people, well, several people on our assembly, several people in the school board locally that have been involved in the school of government. And then
Hmm.
we have some people that are serving in the legislature too. That
Hmm.
one of the very first people we had come and talk, because when we opened the school, one of the ideas was how do you decide if you are going to run for office, and if so, how do you
Hmm.
do that? So now Kathy Tilton is a senator, and she came that the first night we had class and just talked to them about running. What do you have to do? What do the first one of the first things you need to find out is, are you aligned with your views with the general population in your area? you know,
Hmm.
Certain areas in Anchorage that, I could probably could get five votes if I took all my
Hmm.
kids in there, but in
Yeah.
the valley, I get all the votes. So,
Hmm.
so you need to do those kind of things, and you need to have some,
Yeah.
just basic ideas and stuff. So,
Hmm.
so that's something I'd like to see
Yeah.
spread around. Yeah.
All right. Interesting. Let's talk about actual campaigning. I've
Okay.
noticed from what I've researched about the history of Alaskan politics,
Hmm.
campaigning is difficult. Why?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
Alaska.
it is. Yeah. In fact, last, I think it was September, I had been invited to go to Ketchikan to speak, and we had accepted, and we went into Anchorage, jumped on the plane, stopped in Juneau, then we stopped in Sitka, and we were in the plane for like a half hour or so, 45
Hmm.
minutes in Sitka. Finally, the pilot came on and said, well, we were having some problems with the light, but we think we got it fixed, so we're going to take off to go to Ketchikan. And about 15 minutes into the flight, he comes on and he says, the lights come back on, and they've told us that, we're going to overhead Ketchikan and we're going to go to Seattle. And so we ended up in Seattle, and then by the time they got a different plane and get us
Hmm.
back to Ketchikan, the event was over with. So my husband and I just flew home. So that's a prime example. So we've been to Fairbanks. We were back we did go to Juneau. We've been down twice to the Kenai Peninsula. And of course, they've been all over Anchorage and all over out here. Uh,
Hmm.
we have not yet um, gone out, like in Nome or
Hmm.
Ethel, that kind of stuff. We haven't ventured out there yet. We
Yeah.
we do have, though. I attend a rather large church in the valley,
Hmm.
and we do have a lot of people that live in some of those areas, and they have already taken yard signs and pamphlets and things like that, because they're back and forth so much. So we're
Yeah.
doing some of that, but as far as us physically going there, uh,
Hmm.
right now there is going on most Saturdays, the Republican district convention, and
Hmm.
they're at those conventions, they're picking the delegates to the state Republican convention. The Democrats do theirs different. They meet as a caucus, and they don't
Hmm.
so they have a different setup than what we do. So our Saturdays, not last Saturday, but the Saturday before, we were in Big Lake, then we were in Gateway, and we were out at the Butte. And so then a Saturday that's coming up, we're going to go into Anchorage for a couple of meetings and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
just travel's going to be a big part of your budget.
Mm-hmm.
We do a fundraiser. We've done a couple of fundraisers. Um, and we have and we've done some reels and those
Mm-hmm.
things that but we haven't done a radio yet. We're going to do the radio with the little jingle that I was talking about, so that should be
Mm-hmm.
done here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And so we'll be starting those things on radio. And I don't think we will do TV, just because, the days are pretty much past when people would come home from work, sit down, and there was, Channel 2 or Channel 4 or something like that. You'd sit and watch the evening news.
Mm-hmm.
That's not
Not,
happening
no.
anymore. No, yeah. And so we'll do, quite a bit of social, um, social media, with
Mm-hmm.
Facebook and Instagram and things like that. But the campaign is completed. We will do some walking, because I enjoy that part, because that really gets you to be able to talk to the people and find out what things they need help with.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be pretty much what our campaign is. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. In Alaska, I've learned that you need to make sure you know the people when they see you or you don't get anywhere. Of course,
Hmm.
traveling, obviously. Well, traveling has just flat out killed politicians running for office before.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah. And in Alaska, you never know if you're going to get where you intended to go.
yeah. But no.
Even from here to Anchorage, how many
Mm-hmm.
times that they had a birthday party for the consulate of Japan, where I'd been invited to speak,
Mm-hmm.
because we've had a sister city thing with Palmer, uh,
Mm-hmm.
19, late 1980s, and but the road was just impassable. They would just say,
Mm-hmm.
stay off the road, and so we're being cautious in that area.
Yeah. Well, let's see here. So let's talk about this, I suppose. What are your views on the current administration of Governor Dunleavy and what he's done in office?
Well, because Dunleavy's been here in the valley, lives here in the valley, I was a
Mm-hmm.
big supporter of his when he ran for the school board, and then
Mm-hmm.
ran for the Senate and that. And we still meet with him a couple of times a month. He has an office here in Palmer, and you've disappeared. Are you still there? I guess, huh? And so we meet with him. There are things I agree with him and things that I don't agree with him. But he, on life issues and limited government, are two areas that we stand behind him 100%. So that's where we are.
So, do me a favor, but in the Matsu borough, isn't
Mhm.
isn't that what was it, Wallissa? Isn't that where like Sarah Palin was mayor at one point?
Is what did you say?
I believe Sarah Palin actually served as mayor of a town in your
Yes,
borough at one
yeah,
point.
she was mayor of Wasilla before she ran for, she ran for lieutenant governor, and I think she lost, and then she ran for governor. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Did you ever meet
Mhm.
her or?
Oh, sure. Yeah, she's the same. She and her first husband, Todd, are the same age as my two older children.
Hmm.
And and Todd and Sarah's parents went to, I go to Assembly God Church here in the
Hmm.
Valley and in Palmer. And her parents went to the one in Wasilla, so we saw them often. And So yeah, so Sarah and I are. I haven't seen her for quite some time now. Uh, yeah, I think she's back living, here in Wasilla, or maybe never left. I don't know. Uh, but anyway, I take and yeah, I know her as well
Yeah.
as anybody knows anybody. I think, yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering. Yeah, she's like one of
Mhm.
the most known people from Alaska because of.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we get asked anymore, well, do you know Sarah Palin when you go someplace? But for a long period of time, we did.
Yeah. An interesting one. But later. Let's talk about your opponents. There is a lot of people on the ballot for governor right now.
There he is. Yeah. Well, I took a pledge in front of some people back in June, is the fact that I was not going to talk bad about any of the other people that are in the race. I will talk about issues, but if they just got picked up for a DUI or whatever, or going through 17 divorces or whatever, and you're not going to hear any of that stuff from me.
All right.
Uh, but if they, say like the PFD, if they are have a different opinion than I do, my opinion is that legislature should follow the law or change it. And if somebody else in the race has a different opinion, that's fine. And campaign strategies, different people have different strategies. Some people you'll see me all over social media. Other people you don't. They, as far as I see, don't post anything, any place, or
Mm-hmm.
do anything. But so that's where I am regarding the other candidates.
Yeah.
I would anticipate probably in the next probably month or 6 weeks, we may see some people dropping out, or maybe not.
Yeah.
My big pursuit right now is finding a lieutenant governor candidate. As you probably know, in the valley here, we have done away with like the machines. We do hand count ballots at the precinct, and so whoever I choose for lieutenant governor, they have to first of all have to have a good relationship with the Lord, and that they have to be and realize the consequences of not having election integrity.
Mm-hmm.
We need that in the state of Alaska. So those will be my predetermined factors. I have talked to a couple of people, and then none of them feel like that they can, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they can have those two things as priority in their life. So I haven't, and I think, what do we have? We only have two, I think, right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that
Yeah.
Shower and Church?
Mm-hmm.
So two out of the, because I even on the other side of the aisle, I haven't heard any of them pick a lieutenant governor either, right? So
No.
there's what, 17 of us, or 18 of us. So
Mm-hmm.
it's 2 out of 18 that has chosen somebody.
Yeah.
So
What I have noticed when it comes to all that is one, obviously funding is a lovely thing. So picking someone that has funding is great. But someone like you, because you have the experience, you don't have to look for someone that's extra experienced in a candidate.
right,
My suggestion, another thing I've noticed, the native peoples. Native people tend to vote for people of their own nature. That's
right.
how someone like Mary Peltola managed to
Mhm.
become the congresswoman in a seat held by
Sure. Oh,
Republicans
absolutely.
for
Hmm.
40 years.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I believe they get instructions from their elders or people in authority that they look up to, and that recommendation then is what they will vote for. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
notice
I
that.
don't, and I don't know that that's true in when some of the maybe the unions or some places like that, they may have encouragement to vote for a certain person, but I
Mhm.
don't think it's as strong as in the native culture.
No, but you generally
Yeah.
you vote for people similar to yourself. It tends to be all around the country. If you're in
Hmm.
a district that favors one race aggressively, so somewhere like Detroit, Detroit rarely elects a white person as mayor. Why?
Hmm.
Population demographics. That's just what it is.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I know people like
And that's yeah, and that's the one thing. So some people have asked me about different people in the valley, and I think both politically as well as how I feel. It would be nice to have somebody from a different region, you know, in the
yeah.
back because they bring a different. They bring that community along with them. So.
hmm What is it? Have you considered reaching out to? There's this man. His name is Crawford Patkotek.
Uh-uh. I don't know
He,
anything about him, I don't think.
he is currently the chairman of the Arctic Slope Regional Corporation. He served as a advisor to the Arctic Board of the U.S. government back during Trump's first
Oh,
term. Native,
oh,
quite
okay,
wealthy man. I'm not
okay.
gonna give you advice here. Obviously, I am a like
Oh, well,
layman.
I would take a recommendation. You interested? How old are you? How old do you have to be lieutenant governor?
Older than what I am.
Okay.
You might balance out the ticket a bit. You know, in her 80s, in his 20s. Equal things out.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, it would be good, for somebody outside the borough and
Mhm.
that has some. And I taught at, I don't know if you know what Job Corps is, Alaska Job Corps in Palmer. It's a secondary school. And I taught there for 6 years. And so on my Facebook and followings and stuff, I have quite a few because a majority of the students that go there, you know,
Mhm.
are uh, part native. So
Mhm.
I have quite a few of
Yeah.
those.
I didn't know you had a background in education. I'm going to college right now to be a history
Oh,
teacher. So
oh, good. Uh-huh.
this is
Yeah.
this is one of the fun things I do on the side because I
Oh, okay.
into
Yeah.
politics and such, but we'll see
Uh-huh.
if I'm ever in a state where I can run for office. But
Yeah.
no. So, I suppose one last thing. If you yourself was offered the lieutenant governor spot on someone else's ticket, do you think you'd consider accepting?
Yeah, yeah. I think I don't know. It's yeah. I still trying to put it all together, I think so.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you you seem like a very well-informed woman running for this highly honorable office.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you. Well, it's been a joy to talk to you. And
Yes.
again, I just appreciate you wanting to do this, and I consider it an honor to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very difficult to get people willing to interview me since I don't have much actual experience with anything. It's not like people know my name, so.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know that that's it. I don't know what some of the people doing. Joe Miller, I don't know if you know who he is. He
I've
lives
heard of
in Fairbanks. He ran against Murkowski. He has a radio show that he does, and he reached out to me, and so
him.
I interviewed with him, and he said the same thing. He said. I think one other person had reached out to him, and they had I maybe it was Bruce Walden. I think maybe he had done Bruce's interview before he did mine, and so I don't think it's your youth and inexperience, sir. I think people just make decisions or they get busy or something.
Hmm.
You know, I don't really know. There's different strategies
Hmm.
in campaigning about who you talk to and who you don't, and
Hmm.
when you do this and when you do that and that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I do what I can. Also, for
yeah,
clarity's sake, you give me consent to post this interview online.
yeah. Mhm.
You will not sue me.
No, I won't sue you.
Thanks.
You may want to take out the part where unless if you're going to do the whole thing, that's fine. But if you're going to edit, you may want to take out the part where we had the black screen for a while.
Yeah, I'll edit that. Obviously, I should still apologize for that. I hate this technology right now. But no,
Oh,
no,
I
it has
had to
been
had to
lovely.
tease you a little bit about that. Yeah. So, yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah. Whatever I say, and I stand by my word, and so
Respect that. Well, it has
yeah.
been lovely talking with you, Mayor.
Thank
But
you.
I do have things to attend to. So, have a good whatever time it is at this point.
Yeah, yeah, we got an assembly meeting here in an hour and a half, so I need to get
Yeah.
prepared for that. But yeah, and if we run into each other at the store and I don't recognize you or something, please come up and say hello. Or if sometime you want to come in the office or meet for, do some more of this in another 2 or 3 months or something, or some kind of hot topic comes up and want to put
Hmm.
some out there regarding how people reach out to me, and I'll respond to you.
Gladly will, especially if you actually win the election.
Thank
But
you. Okay. Bye bye.
see ya.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Uh-huh. Alrighty. Bye bye.
Bye.